Good morning, folks. We're back out at Dad's shop today, and I've got another lantern to work on today. It's a CT Ham #2 cold blast. Unfortunately, the brass fount on it has quite a little whammy in it, so I am going to have to see if I am able to bend that back around without causing a leak in it. Fortunately, it doesn't have any really hard creases in it, and I'm not concerned about making it perfect. I want to make it so that it'll set flat again, and if I can do that, that's good enough for me. The good news with it is it's a little rusty and crusty, but it's got a original, I don't know if the camera will pick that up very good, Ham's cold blast globe. So whenever they did whatever they did to this poor thing, probably dropped it and bent that up. The good news was that the original globe stayed in one piece. Now let's see here. The burner in here, wick does go up and down, but I think I'm gonna just go ahead and try to pop that burner. Oh yeah, it came right out. That's fairly crusty. I was a little worried that that may not come out that easy, but I don't know if that's, yeah, there is writing around here. Maybe 2082. Cold blast. I don't know. We'll hit that with a piece of Scotch-Brite. I can see it better on the inside. You can definitely see that there's words around there. We'll hit the outside of that with Scotch-Brite and clean that up good. Wick's not super long, but long enough. Burner looks pretty clean. It's not as rusty as some of the rest of it. Little cruddy down in there. We'll get the blowgun and we'll blow air through the air tubes coming down the sides of the lantern. I know I've said this in many videos before, but you draft air from the top down those air tubes, and that's the air that feeds your fire in there. So if these are plugged up, it will not burn right. Everything's kind of rusty, but it's just surface rust. There's nothing serious on it. I think it'll clean up pretty good. But before I worry about, I wonder if that will come off. Oh yeah. Before I even worry about getting carried away with cleaning anything up, I'm gonna try to get this fount straightened out at least enough that it will sit flat. So I think to start trying to straighten it out, I'm just gonna set it down on a board here. It'd be nice to have a, let's see if I can find a little bit larger board that the whole base will sit on. An old piece of green treated, I don't know, is that 2x8 or 2x10? I don't know what that is for sure, but it's large enough for this to sit on there, and I can start trying to bend that back around. I guess just for first, I could just see if I could bend any of it. This copper fount, pretty soft. I gotta move a little bit there. Not very much though. So I got a scrap of wood over here that I grabbed from out in the side building. I'm going to use that and just start trying to maybe tap and bend a little bit and get this to come back down a little bit here. Since it's copper, it should bend fairly easily. Try to bend that where it's over kind of towards the edge of that bend. It's got the lip curled under a little bit on the bottom, so I'll try to bend that back out a little bit too, just to help it get back into a little more round shape. What I don't want to do, I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but there's a brighter copper colored line right down where the crease was there, and I want to be careful so that when that crease comes back around, I don't make a crack right there. It's already, even though it's still badly bent, it's already setting better than it was. But I wish I had some way to get inside the fount and pull that up while tapping this outside edge down, but I don't really know any way that I could do that. Other than trying to keep my tapping clear at the outside edge as much as I can, I don't really know what else to do to try to bring this back around. But what I'm afraid of is I'm going to end up smashing the whole lip of it down around the outside. I wonder if I can kind of hook the edge of that over there. Hook the edge of that right over the edge of that board, right at the edge of this welding table, and then I can get in here and tap there and on these corners of the fount, right where the bend is there, and see if that will bring it around any. I know it's not going to be perfect. Like I said, if I can just get it to where it'll set kind of flat and not leak, I would be pretty happy with that. Boy, that's almost soft enough to just bend around like that, but it's not quite.
It's getting better.
Oh yeah, it's setting a lot better now. At least it doesn't wobble all over the place. You know what? It sets pretty decent there. Before I make it any worse, smashing those sides in any worse than they already are, I am going to say that that's good enough. I'm not trying to make it like new. I don't want it to be shiny. I want it to look like a 100-year-old lantern. I just want it to not be, before it would roll clear over on its side, so. All right, so the next thing I'm gonna do is just, actually here, look at the top of this here. That's got pretty good bend in there. I'm gonna raise that up. Stick a board in there to hold that so that it can't go down, and just try to bend that back around a little bit there. Oh, there we go. Whoa! Pulled one of the tabs out. But I got that bend back out of it. It's got a pretty bad bend underneath that tab. I didn't even realize that. But the spot I'm looking at is right here. And that's got a pretty good crease, but I'm gonna take my wood block and try to tap it a couple times to see if I can get that just a little bit straightened out. It moved some. Yeah, you can tell it straightened out because it bent that tab in. So now I can gently pop that tab back out where it's supposed to be. There we go. That is. Once again, it's not perfect, but the top of it is not smashed down on one side way more than the rest now, so that will be good enough for that. Got some steel wool, or not steel wool, some Scotch-Brite here. I'm gonna use this softer Scotch-Brite on the fount, and then I got some rougher Scotch-Brite that I'm gonna hit these air tubes with. I think I'll start with that because they're rusty and they're gonna make a bit of a mess. And I just want to knock the loose, scaly rust off. A little bit of a bend right in there, but pretty easy to bring that back around. Look at that, hiding underneath all that rust, there's a little bit of blue paint. I don't know if CT hams were painted blue originally or not, but if it wasn't blue originally, somebody painted it blue at some point in its life. Alrighty. Now I'm going to use this softer Scotch-Brite and go over this fount just a little bit. I want to get it far enough to get the green oxidation off of there, but I don't want to polish it. I don't want it super shiny. I want just a dull copper color to it. But I do want to get off most of this green oxidation on here. I think I'll be able to find a happy medium between getting the oxidation off and leaving some of the original patina on there. This is the problem that I have with copper or brass fount lanterns. As soon as you clean them, it's hard to know when to stop. You can either leave them completely alone, but once you start cleaning, you get shiny spots, you get spots that are dull, and it's hard to know, especially for someone like me that wants it to look like I just dug it out of the dirt somewhere. The good thing about copper is it will tarnish back up a little bit. By the time this hangs in the rafters of the garage for a year or so, it won't be that bright copper color anymore. It'll kind of blend back in pretty quickly. But I think I want to leave a lot of the tarnish around the letters so the letters kind of pop out like that. No matter what you do though, right after you cleaned up copper like this, it looks like freshly cleaned up copper, and it's going to take a while before it gets over that. All right, I'm not going to go much farther than that. Okay, now I'm going to wipe this all down a little bit with the old brown towel here. I got my hand right in the way. Wipe all this down with the old brown towel a little bit. Let it sit here and dry for a couple minutes while I'm cleaning a couple more of the parts up here, that burner cone and fuel cap. And then I'm going to give this whole thing, you know what, actually I think I'll go ahead and do that and then let it set. I'm going to come over here above the floor drain and spray it down with some WD-40. Okay, this old burner cone, it's got a lot of rust on it, but it's just loose surface rust. Yeah, let's see, I can use a little bit more aggressive steel wool on that. Well, I don't know, for some reason I'm going to call this steel wool. Scotch-Brite. Let's see if we can read what it says around the edge of that. I think, depending upon what the weather says it's going to do, I think I'm going to light this tonight, and I have to go into work at, well, I have to leave at 6 o'clock, work 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. I think I'm going to let it hang up on my pool patio overnight, and we'll get a shot of it when I hang it up there before I leave, and then I'll get another shot of it if it's still burning tomorrow morning when I get back home. There we go, with that cleaned up a little bit. CT Ham Manufacturing. Rochester, New York, USA. Maybe a patent date, looks like. There's some numbers, but I can't make out what they are for sure. Cold Blast. You can see around there. I don't know if the camera will pick it up worth a darn, but and this poor old fuel cap. It's got some little like knurled edges around the edge of it. Yeah, I don't think there's any design on it. I think just around the edge. I thought maybe there was something in the middle too, but that's probably just about good enough. Dad already took the glass back and cleaned it up. I'm amazed that that embossed glass made it through the years as badly banged up as the rest of the lantern was. That wick is actually pretty darn straight right across there. I don't think I'm even going to trim that one off. I think I'll leave it alone. Alright, let me get the lantern back over here and we'll wipe the whole thing down now. Get all the WD-40 wiped off to a point where it's not going to be wet or dripping anymore, and then that's where I'm just going to leave it. Once we get it lit, it'll burn off some of this up here and that'll all dry up again. Okay, that is just about good enough for that. Now you can see how that really makes the raised letters pop. I didn't want to polish a whole lot. I want to still be dark in between the letters. Oh, one thing I do need to do before I reassemble it that I said I was going to do. I'm going to pause the camera for a minute here, turn the air compressor on, and get a blowgun and blow air as best I can both ways through those air tubes to make sure there's no spider homes in there or anything. Okay, air tubes are blown out. Really, not a whole lot came out of there. A little bit of dust, but wasn't very bad, that's for sure. Now let's go ahead and stick this thing back together. This one does have, in some of the videos I talk about having little locking tabs, this does have a couple little tabs on the inside of there that fit right down into little slots right here. Go down in and turn a little bit. Drop right down in there, and then that just turns and locks it right in place. Blue debris all over the place, blowing that off now. The nice sparkler clean glass has debris stuck to it. Oh, that's raised up all the way. There we go. I always put it so that my embossed name is in the front, lined up above the fill hole. Dad had to run out to his camper and get his kerosene jug out of the camper. I forgot to grab my toolbox, and I forgot to grab my kerosene before I left home this morning. So.
Got room in there yet?
Yeah, that'll burn overnight for sure. If the weather's permitting. It's been kind of stormy this morning, but I think by this evening it'll be decent enough out to light that up before I go to work and let it go overnight. See if it's still burning when I get home in the morning. Of course, I slopped fuel right down the side of the tank, right where the dent was, so you can't see if it's seeping fuel, but I don't think it is. I don't think it had a bad enough crease in it to make it crack when I straightened it out.
There's no wet spot there.
Alright, I'm going to pause the camera again for a couple minutes. Let that wick soak up because I didn't set the wick in a cup of fuel to pre-soak it. Okay, it's been sitting here soaking for a few minutes. The wick looks moist up there. I don't see any moisture on the table. Poor old beat up fount seems to be holding.
I like it that way.
Yep, I like stuff that tells a story. You can tell it's been used and been through a lot in the past 100 years or so. Whoop. There we go. Calm down a little bit there, buddy. There we go. That's got a very nice fan-shaped flame. Didn't even trim the wick off. So that's probably why it's kind of ragged across the top, because it's kind of a fuzzy edge on the wick, but burning a nice shape. It sets stout enough now that it doesn't wobble around anyway. Even if you wiggle it, it comes right back and settles in. Before, it would almost roll clear over on its side. It was bent up so bad.
It'll be good hanging up.
Yep. Pretty nice looking old lantern.
Yep.
Okay, I'll get a shot of this at home tonight when I hang it up before I leave for work. And then I'll get another shot of it tomorrow morning. Whether it's still burning or if it goes, even if it goes out, we'll still get a shot of it in the morning when I get home about 7:30 or so in the morning tomorrow. Well folks, it's actually Friday night now. I recorded the rest of this video on Wednesday, and I watched the weather Wednesday, and the weather didn't look good for Wednesday night, so I didn't end up lighting this thing and leaving it hanging when I went to work, and I'm glad I didn't. We had like 40-mile-an-hour winds, rain, it even hailed a little bit, so I'm glad I wasn't sitting at work worrying about this hanging up here at home. So we got it lit up tonight. I'm gonna move it. I'm back on my picnic table in the back of the yard now. I'm gonna move it up and hang it up on the lantern hook up on the pool deck and let it burn all night tonight. We'll check on it again in the morning, see if it's still going. It's burned really nice. I'm guessing it's gonna, and actually turn that down a little bit. There we go. I'm guessing it's gonna burn all night, no problem whatsoever. So thanks for watching, everybody. We appreciate each and every view that we get. If you enjoy the content we're putting out, I know I say this every week, but the best way that you can help support our channel is when ads come up, just let the ads play. If it's a really long ad, watch the first 30 seconds. That's enough to make it count. It also helps if you give the video a like, share the video, leave a comment down in the comments section. All those things really help out. Thanks a lot for watching, folks. We'll get a shot of this tomorrow morning real quick. Well folks, I just carried it up here by the house and it's still sitting here running good. I'd say this one's a good burner. It's back in my rotation of user lanterns now. Thanks for watching, folks, and come on back next week. We'll have a video or something here for you to watch.